Hello and welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am the mayor of this joint. This man next to me is your vice mayor, my thunderstick, the one and only Jesse Friedman. Of course, we got Father Overlord Jacob on the ones and twos. And
Making you late.
So happy. It's all his fault that we're late, but of course, we're so happy that you are here, no matter if you got here on time or if you're late. I'm sure Cogs is going to be late. We know Cogs is going to be late, but a big ski to you, Connor, and a ski to you all. A big ski to the Arizona Diamondbacks front office, Jesse. A big ski to them for getting the Corbin Carroll deal done. And when I say that, I mean his contract extension done when they got it done. Because had they waited, it may have gotten very expensive, and it may have cost them even more after the recent news of Bobby Witt Jr.'s extension with the Kansas City Royals.
Oh, it certainly would have cost them more, a whole lot more. Originally, I thought you were saying ski to the Diamondbacks front office for not signing Clayton Kershaw to a one-year contract.
Ski to them for not signing Clayton Kershaw as well. We could start out there because our friend Clayton Kershaw, a.k.a. the incel, a.k.a. our spy in the Dodgers organization, is still a member of the Dodgers organization, Jesse. That's always something fun to have happen because the Diamondbacks obviously have owned him. We know Clayton Kershaw is the son of Christian Walker, of course, and just happy to have him back.
Yeah. The last time Clayton Kershaw pitched in a Major League Baseball game, it wasn't great for his team. No,
in fact, the team shop has that memento of that.
Yes,
we have that right here. This
is
go get this right now at the Chase Field team shop. See, we thought this might have aged poorly because if Kershaw maybe was with another team, this picture might not be so impactful. But he's back, so hey, this is still a very current picture. It's not outdated at all.
I do genuinely wonder like what the Dodgers assessment is of how Clayton Kershaw pitched in that game, because it was bad. It was another level of bad.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks were just hitting the living daylight out of the baseball. Yeah. It wasn't just like, oh, command's a little shaky, the life on his fastball is not there, whatever. It was a concerning sort of outing.
Right.
At least if I were in the Dodgers front office, I was like, all right, this could be not necessarily the end of Clayton Kershaw's career, but it certainly did not inspire confidence in Clayton Kershaw's ability to continue to pitch moving forward. Granted, he had a pretty good regular season. Like if you look at Clayton Kershaw's regular season numbers from last year, his FIP wasn't quite as good. Some of the peripherals weren't as nice, but I mean, he still had a sub-3 ERA, which is very, very good, and certainly you'd want to bring that guy back. So I wonder kind of what their assessment was of him, but I'm not too surprised about him coming back. It frankly wouldn't have felt right for Clayton Kershaw to be pitching in any other uniform than that of the Dodgers. I know there was some talk of him going to the Texas Rangers, sort of a hometown kind of a deal there, but that never seemed to pick up too much steam.
By the way, his ERA in last year's playoffs, 162.0.
What's his ERA in his career in the playoffs, though?
His career in the playoffs actually is
not great.
Terrible, but not as bad as you would think it would
Sure.
be. He has a 4.49 career ERA.
But
he has
Kershaw,
12 years, 22 series in the playoffs. So he has a lot of time in there, and he has performed well at times, just not performed well in big moments.
He's
right?
had, he's had some very good postseason starts. Like you can't look at. Clayton Kershaw's pitched in a lot of postseason games. It's not like he's been terrible every time out. But yeah, that game against the Diamondbacks was very much the the culmination of Clayton Kershaw's entire postseason career, where he just hasn't been as effective. And it'll be interesting to see what he's able to give the Dodgers in 2024. He had a fairly significant shoulder procedure that is going to keep him out for, I think, at least like the first half of the season. He won't be available to the Dodgers until the second half. But I mean, the last thing that the Diamondbacks needed was for the Dodgers to add more starting rotation depth than they already had. If there were a day where Clayton Kershaw were healthy and all of the other Dodgers starters were healthy too, it would be very frightening. I mean, it would be Yamamoto, it would be Walker Buehler, it would be Clayton Kershaw, Bobby Miller, Tyler Glasnow. Like if the Dodgers ever have one turn through the rotation that is those five guys, that is outrageous. I mean, Absolutely. Bobby Miller is probably the worst pitcher on that list. I guess maybe it's Kershaw now. Those guys were number 2 starter types. Maybe number 3, but probably number 2 starter types in 2023. So yeah, there's an outrageous amount of talent in that Dodgers rotation right now.
I think in defense of Kershaw, the one thing that is terrible about Major League Baseball is how you can go through a 162 game season and be a good pitcher and then have your reputation determined by a couple of games in the playoffs, right? And that's kind of what's happened to Kershaw. Like you said, he has been very good at times during the regular season, but that does kind of become his reputation now, especially with his last performance against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Be interesting to see when he comes back, what version of Clayton Kershaw we see. But for now, welcome back. Happy to have you.
Yeah.
Happy to see you.
Gabby Moreno is not disappointed with the news, I'm sure.
Nope. I'm guessing Christian Walker, he popped a special bourbon on behalf of this occasion. Speaking of popping special liquor, of course, we did talk about Bobby Witt Jr. signing that contract extension with the Kansas City Royals. It's a gigantic extension for a very talented player, the exact kind of guy you build your franchise around, the exact kind of guy that the Arizona Diamondbacks are building their franchise around. But now with looking at this extension, this massive extension, you got to be thankful once again that the D-backs got the job done with Corbin when they did, versus after his Rookie of the Year season, and definitely after seeing some of these other deals that other players were getting. Bobby Witt Jr. in 2023, he slashed 276, 319, 495, 30 dingers, 96 RBI. He had 49 stolen bases, of 5.7 FWAR, and just an excellent, excellent season. Like everything you would want out of a player that the Royals drafted as high as they did.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby Witt is a really good player. I think some people might, you see his on base percentage for his career being, 307. That's not very good, right? Like Bobby Witt is he doesn't have the plate discipline that Corbin Carroll has,
sure,
but he's a freaking really good baseball player. I mean, Bobby Witt, a career OPS of 770 in 2023, though it was up to 813. As you mentioned, almost 6 wins above replacement. A lot of that comes from his defense. He's an outstanding defender. Yeah. I know Corbin Carroll did 25 homers and 54 RBI. Bobby Witt did 30 homers and 25 homers and 54 stolen bases is what I'm trying to say.
More RBI than that.
Yeah, he had a lot more RBI than that. Bobby Witt had 30 homers and 49 stolen bases. So kind of right there in the same neighborhood, both very impressive. Witt was caught 15 times. Wasn't as efficient of a base stealer as Corbin Carroll, but Bobby Witt does, not quite everything that Corbin Carroll does, but he's a better defender. He plays a premium position. Corbin Carroll's capable of playing some center field, but he's not really getting much opportunity there. Witt is an extremely, extremely valuable player.
Especially on that team. He is the most valuable team on that player, and it definitely makes
sense. The most
sense.
Valuable team on that player.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we're both a mess today,
this is welcome in. Words hard sometimes, okay? But Corbin, again, that 8-year, $111 million deal with a club option for one more year, $28 million. Witt, 11-year, $289 million. With a club option for 3 years for $89 million. Is that right? So if they extend it, it's another 3 years.
It could go up to 14 years, which is outrageous.
That's insane, man. I mean, Do we have what little comparison graphic between these two guys? Of course, this is the breakdown of their yearly deals and how, once again, crazy Bobby Witt Jr.'s extension is versus the breakdown there by Nick Picoro of Corbin Carroll's contract.
Yeah, it's a little tricky to do like an apples to apples comparison because Bobby Witt has 2 years of service time now. Corbin Carroll has 1. So they're really offset by like 1 year. Also, Bobby Witt signed his contract after 2 years, whereas Corbin Carroll signed his contract before even reaching 1 year of service time. So it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison if you go year to year. But if you think about it in terms of like when these guys are reaching free agency and whatnot, you can kind of draw some comparisons. As far as the 3 arbitration years, both of these deals include the full 3 arbitration years for each player. Bobby Witt is making $7 million in his first arbitration year, 13 in his second, 19 in his third. Corbin Carroll is making $10 million in his first year of arbitration, then 12, then 14. So they're pretty comparable there. Bobby Witt, I think, is making $39 million total in those 3 years compared to 36 for Corbin. So pretty similar there. But once you hit free agency, as you can see here with Bobby Witt, the 35s just go on for forever, Derek. There's so many years on this deal for Bobby Witt Jr. Corbin Carroll, the Diamondbacks bought out 2 years of free agency at $20 million each. With Bobby Witt, the Kansas City Royals are buying out 7 years of free agency, 4 of which, as you could see there, have player options attached to them. So Bobby Witt has a lot of ability to kind of leave whenever he wants to, if he decides to do that. So, why would you?
Like, I mean, who knows? Like you said, the value, $35 million today is not what $35 million
is going to be worth. Who knows? Who knows?
Right? But my God, I mean, it gets to a point where, like, you have to be a special kind of athlete and a special kind of person to receive a contract worth that much money and still stay focused on the task at hand. Typically, the task at hand is performing at a level that is going to get you that kind of contract in return. But now that you've received it, how do you respond? You know, what we saw out of Corbin Carroll after getting that contract was him doing everything he could to bring home that Rookie of the Year award so that the Diamondbacks would get that additional draft pick. He spoke about it several times about how important that was. Like, the Rookie of the Year achievement was a great achievement, but for him, in his eyes, the bigger goal was what that draft pick could do for the franchise. What we saw was Corbin immediately exceed his value, right, after receiving that contract. And again, it shows what kind of person he is. And Bobby Witt Jr. is the same kind of character. I don't expect to see him, you know, all of a sudden drop off on production. I wouldn't be surprised to see him motivated to try even harder in 2024. I just think, from my perspective, I am not that kind of person. If you give me $35 million, like, guaranteed, and it's my decision over the next couple of years, man, you're lucky if you're getting 225 out of me in batting average. You know, like, I'm going to be eating snacks and I'm just going to be chilling, like, because that's how it is. See, players, you know, again, they have to stay motivated. They have to continue to be worth that kind of, you know, money. And I mean, it goes beyond just the fact that you've been given it. It's, you know, there's public scrutiny, there's the fans, there's a lot of things involved there, but it's not always the case that every athlete that receives that guaranteed money lives up to what a team paid them for, right? And that's the reason why it's really hard to stay motivated after you've essentially hit the big payday you've been seeking.
Yeah, I mean, going back to some of the numbers here between these two deals, Bobby Witt will be 34 years old when the guaranteed portion of his deal is done, whereas Corbin Carroll will have just turned 31 if the Diamondbacks exercise the club option.
Yeah,
he would only be 30 with the guaranteed portion. So
this is Bobby Witt's like big contract that a lot of players are seeking.
This deal
Corbin Carroll could still get his big deal after that, you know, after this one was up, technically.
Which I guess is maybe part of, you know, maybe Corbin that benefits him in some ways. Sure. Like, he could still get like a 7-8 year deal when he's 30 years old. That is possible. But then there's the club option, which it certainly seems like the Diamondbacks are likely to pick up. So you're probably looking at Corbin being 31 by the time he reaches free agency. And you could still get a big deal at 31 if you're a star level player. But yeah, the guarantee here for the Royals goes basically 4 years deeper into Witt's career than the deal that the Diamondbacks gave Corbin Carroll, and all of those are at $35 million per season compared to $28 million. So yeah, it goes back to what you said earlier. If the Diamondbacks had waited to do this, this would have been like the Diamondbacks not only passing on the extension last year, but letting Corbin have another pretty solid MLB season. And then after 2 years of Corbin Carroll being in the big leagues, the Diamondbacks approaching him about an extension, you're going to be paying a heck of a lot of money at that point based on what we've seen.
That's a great comparison. So great job, front office. They continue to do good things for this team. And again, that's the reason why I think it was important for ownership to kind of open up the pockets, open up the wallet a little bit for Mike Hazen to go out there and add to this team during the offseason like he did. He has proven that he is savvy in making these moves and building towards the future. And again, this deal isn't bad for Corbin by comparison. The one aspect about it, like we said, is that they did buy out those 2 years. There's things involved where Bobby Witt Jr. had to go through those couple of years that Corbin essentially had his contract start like right away, essentially, right? He gets out of it earlier,
right,
and he still gets a fairly substantial deal that is worth his value, but he's definitely worth more money, and would have received more money had this contract extension taken place after this wonderful season that he had. I mean, come on, Rookie of the Year and a World Series run,
and fifth in MVP voting.
Any one of those three things would have been enough to say like that's going to be something that drives up his value. But all three of those things together makes it no doubt that he would have received much more money.
I mean, I think another way to think about this is I don't know if the Diamondbacks do it. If they had waited to extend Corbin Carroll until right now, I could see a scenario where the price tag is just so high that the team just decides that it's not, it's just not something that they want to do. Not because Corbin isn't worth, a substantial investment.
Or he's not receptive to it. It's just like, it's like a stock.
Yeah.
Right? You got to sometimes buy at the right time, and you got to wait for a player's value to kind of be within your range that you can afford it. Zach Gallen is a perfect case of that because his value right now is far too high. And
the D-backs have that ship has sailed. The D-backs have waited too long. Now they're gonna, if they do it, they're gonna pay a heck of a lot of money for it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is it's not to say that both sides. Zach Gallen has been very open about wanting to stay here. It's just not if the money isn't right, and not if he can get more money elsewhere, which is inevitable. But
one more thing I want to say on this is I just think it's really good for baseball that the Kansas City Royals, a small market team that has had a pretty good offseason, they actually spent some money this offseason, but they're not the kind of team that spends a ton of money. And they went out and they said, hey, Bobby Witt Jr. is our star player. He's the centerpiece of our franchise. He's someone that we want to build this team around, no matter what the future holds. And the Kansas City Royals are going to pay Bobby Witt Jr. $35 million a year for a whole lot of years. Yeah. Like they had to make an enormous commitment to do this. But this trend that we've seen throughout the game of these early career contract extensions is allowing teams that previously would not have been able to hold on to their star centerpiece franchise players. Those teams are now starting to hold on to those players a little bit. Julio re-signed, is with the Mariners for forever. Corbin Carroll with the Diamondbacks, Witt with the Kansas City Royals. I think it's really good for the game.
You're absolutely right. And it's one of those situations where when those young stars start to reach the end of that contract, it just becomes all right, which one of the big market teams is gonna nab them up, and then they're gonna go have
it's like, all right, how long till Bobby Witt is a Yankee, right? Like that's the game that we used to always have to play.
And who knows? I mean, with that contract, who knows if the Royals are going to continue down a path where they are going to be good enough for that to be, to be a contract they can afford. If that's the case, then they could end up turning to one of those teams like the Yankees or the Dodgers to trade him over so that they can take over on that. But that's the darkest.
There's a no trade clause.
Oh, hey, come on. You're waving that you're waving that to go be part of the super team known as the Dodgers. I love talking about the darkest possible timeline. You know me.
Apparently you do.
Well, we appreciate you guys being here for all of this negativity on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. And please leave us a thumbs up. We always appreciate you dropping those likes. Of course, if you are listening on the audio podcasting side, we love you listeners as well. Please subscribe to us there. Leave us a review. We always appreciate those 5-star reviews. Jesse and I saw one yesterday that we both missed. That was very, very nice. We always appreciate hearing some of the kind things you guys have to say. Of course, we like to give back, and in doing so, we want to tell you guys to not miss out on joining Circle K's Inner Circle program. It's their free membership program. All you got to do is download the Circle K app today. Do it. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com. But when you do, you will receive 25 cents off per gallon for your first 5 fill-ups. It's very important right now to save as much money as possible on gas. Those prices are going up and down every single day. Of course, you also save 3 cents off per gallon after that. There's some wonderful free stuff they'll throw you in the app as well. You get buy 5, get the 6th one free on a selection of Circle K products. So make sure to sign up for the Inner Circle today. Also, speaking of money and saving money, make sure to put your money somewhere where you can trust that that institution, that financial institution, has your best interests in mind, and you can do so with Desert Financial Credit Union. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make your lives better. Of course, you can look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. And right now, when you open a free checking account online, you get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Jesse, I saw the median rental price was near $2,000 in this country right now.
It's disgusting.
And I'm glad, once again, that Desert Financial helped me get started on my home ownership journey, because that's not something I can afford now at this point. But luckily,
we're all jealous of you, Derek.
Oh, yeah. Don't even get me started on my
interest rates went
my
up
monthly
again across the board.
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
Yeah, it's like 7% again.
It's wild. Yeah, I got 2.75%.
Yeah, we don't want to hear about
anyway, what we can do, though, is we can talk about spring training being right around the corner, because it is right around the corner. Cannot wait to be out in the sunshine. It's a dreary day here in Arizona today, but it's going to be bright and sunny before we know it. We're going to can't wait to be sunburned out at Camelback Ranch before I know it. But we did, with spring training right around the corner, we did want to take a look at some of the Cactus League ballparks and do a little tier list ranking. Of course, we love to do this. We love to pit things like ballparks against each other, decide which ones are the best. So, Faj, if you would, can we get to our tier maker for ballparks? All right, here we go. We got our tier maker for ballparks. And Jesse, you already told me before we started that we were going to disagree here, that we were going to have some arguments.
Yeah, there will probably be some debate.
I'm ready for this. But
do I need to mediate?
You might. I might yell at him and call him names that he's not going to be able to call me back, because he refuses to use that kind of language on this show. But we will see. Do we want to start with the hell tier, or where do we want to start out here? Do you want to just
go in the order that's
we got to go ballpark by ballpark.
All right.
It's the only way.
Camelback Ranch.
Camelback Ranch. Speaking of getting sunburned out in the sun, oh my God. Camelback Ranch falls for me in the hell tier. I hate Camelback Ranch. I do not like.
This is just because the Dodgers play there, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit of that too. Like, it's a dash of that, and it's a little dash of the lack of shade. Look at that ballpark. Where can I hide from the sun in March in that ballpark? Nowhere is the answer. Nowhere. Along with like 1,500 other people along that, like underneath the suites over there. That's about it. It's a nightmare.
The press box I'm inclined to grade Cactus League ballparks by 2 things because of my job: proximity to my house and quality of press box.
You're a monster.
Those are the only things I care about.
We are
I'm going
to
do my rankings solely on those 2 things. All right. Camelback, I live in the Scottsdale area, so Camelback Ranch is on the other side of the world.
Very far from you.
And the press box is not great, Derek.
No.
The windows don't open.
No.
Which is kind of an archaic thing
so
at this point. Like, you got to have at least windows that open at this point. A lot of ballparks, like Salt River Fields, have like the windows that slide and make it so it feels like you're basically just outside with everyone else enjoying the game. It's delightful. But yeah, Camelback Ranch doesn't have those things. I'm pretty sure last year I had to sit behind like a pillar.
Yeah.
And so my view, they have like pillars inside of the press box that just like obscure your view of the game. So based on those two things, it's not my favorite place. I am still a little bit hesitant to put it in the hell tier because I think it's a pretty nice place to see a game. But the sun is an issue. The stadium, I don't know the exact details, but the stadium was built at a weird angle.
Fan enjoyment. Right? Yeah. It's like it's pointed right at the sun somehow.
It's
specifically designed for you to just be in the sun the whole time.
Which is like one of the more like spring training in Arizona is delightful, but it can be not so delightful if you're baking in the sun on like an 80-degree afternoon at the ballpark. You basically just like can't sit in your seats for very long. So yeah, I think hell's I think it's a little excessive, but if you're gonna, I won't argue too much with you if you want to put it there.
Yeah, we got it. Some need to be put in the hell tier, and that's how it goes, and that's what we're starting off with. Very positive outlook by putting them in the hell tier. Gabriel says, I would only ever consider Camelback for a night game. Michael said that. Gabriel called it Heat Stroke Ranch, which is the
mountain views are nice. If you're like, okay. I guess at least from like up, like in the press area, is nice.
For stuff to say, but
it has some good things. Like I don't think there's any ballpark in the Cactus League that's truly just awful. But I don't know. I haven't heard what you're going to say about all the others.
We got to make a tier list here. Okay, so what's the next ballpark? What do we have next?
Goodyear Ballpark.
Oh, Goodyear Ballpark. Oh, I like Goodyear Ballpark. I actually have Goodyear Ballpark as an A.
Really?
I do.
Wow. Okay. All right.
What do you got, Jesse Friedman?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it an A. I'd probably give it a B. You've spent a lot more time though at some of these places than I have. I covered one night game there last year. Again, by my two criteria, very, very far from home.
Very far from home. Yeah, no, I get that.
Press box, I remember being very cramped.
Yeah.
So I'm not too happy with it from that perspective, but it did seem like a pretty nice place to see a game.
Okay. So where are we landing on it? Do we want to put it in B? Do you want to? I'm okay with putting it in B. Again, it's not. I've always liked Goodyear. I don't know. There's some things.
I think it's a B. All
right, let's put it a B.
It's solid, but it's not like I don't think Goodyear Ballpark is that great.
I guess the criteria is: are there like obviously you've got your S tier ballparks, and I think everybody knows where we're headed with those. But like,
of course.
Are there ballparks that are not S tier ballparks that you think are better than Goodyear?
That's a good question.
Like, you know, for me, the epitome of an A tier, and you'll get there. Like for me, Scottsdale Stadium's an A tier ballpark.
See, I like Goodyear.
I don't think you're gonna like what Derek has to say about Scottsdale Stadium based on our discussions before the show.
Oh, like there's a lot not to like about Scottsdale Stadium, but I love the food at Goodyear. I love just some of the design aspects of it. Kind of being a little bit more small.
I'll let you have this, Derek. Okay. We'll put it in A.
Okay.
Jacob, move it up to A.
What do we got next?
Convinced.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We got Surprise next.
Stadium.
Oh, I would put Surprise Stadium in hell tier based on the drive alone.
It's terrible. It's so awful.
I don't like the drive to Surprise Stadium, mostly because it tells me when I get off of the freeway or whatever that it's 3.5 miles away.
Yeah.
But somehow that 3.5 miles takes 45 minutes for me to get there. And I don't want to attack it because there's great, like Surprise actually is a beautiful ballpark. I'm not even joking.
It's nice.
It does not belong in the hell tier. So we're going to have to move it. That's a little unacceptable because it is very beautiful. Now, I will say Surprise is designed to look like the ballpark at Arlington, I believe, right? That's where the Rangers play.
The old one, I guess.
The old one, right. Kansas City Royals.
It sure doesn't look like whatever that thing was that I had to watch the World Series in for those few days supposedly fancy and new.
It was. It is not. That is a terrible. That toaster is awful, or that whatever that. Not even a toaster. It's a shed. But yeah, I will say there is something.
I'd heard shed. I hadn't heard toaster. I kind of like that.
It's. I'll tell you this. The Surprise renovated their stadium and made it like that's what I like. Is like we went out there, and I've said this about spring training ballparks. Like keep them. Like you can keep them small. You can keep them quaint, but you got to keep renovating them. You got to keep figuring out things to do. Sure. Like and there's difference between what Scottsdale is doing with their goddamn party patios and all that stuff they're adding. But Surprise has the largest scoreboard now in the Cactus League.
Oh.
So things like that I think are cool. So I'm on a bump. I'm going to take the drive out of the consideration. I think Surprise belongs in the B tier.
Okay. I think the location does kind of get me.
It does, right?
Because it is just, I mean, I guess it was built before Arizona had freeways.
No, don't.
And so they just didn't know where the freeways are going to be.
Don't do that to me.
They just put it in the middle of nowhere.
Don't make me feel
the D-backs used to play in Tucson. Let's just put this in perspective.
That's true.
It's everything out west that way. When we went to Phoenix Raceway, the drive there was fine. It was once you got off on Avondale Avenue that you lost a day of your life just to get from there to the raceway.
All right, we can put it in B if you feel.
Yay! I feel like I'm getting my way with everything.
Yeah, it's not gonna be like this the whole way.
All right, take over on this one, Peoria.
Peoria.
I need to hear your thoughts.
Peoria, I remember there being just tons of traffic when I was trying to get there.
Yes, because of Arrowhead Mall.
Yeah, exactly. It's in a very there's a lot of cars around.
There's 9 million things to eat in that in that area, like restaurants, fast food places.
I can't speak much to the food at the ballpark. Maybe you can, but there are a bazillion food options around the stadium. I thought it was a reasonably nice place to see a game, though. It feels like a B or a C to me. I don't know if you have a strong preference on this.
Peoria is by far the closest ballpark to me, and I hate that. I hate that Peoria is the closest one to me, mostly because of the lack of food options in the ballpark versus all of the food options around the ballpark. Now, one time they did get for the press In-N-Out burgers, and they brought them in the press box, and they just had them there for you to grab one and eat. And that is still a very memorable, happy day in Derek Montia's life. I will not put them in the hell tier, but I still think that they have terrible food options. I still think it's a rundown ballpark compared to a lot of.
How?
It's just a rundown. It's just run down. It looks old.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, like they are all very, like they all have their own charm and stuff. And yes, there's a bunch of old ballparks here because of how long the Cactus League has existed. But like that's why I think Surprise deserves more respect, because even with that ridiculous drive, they still have done an amazing job of keeping that extremely white ballpark, and I don't mean that on a race thing. I mean there's a lot of white to that ballpark, and it's a very clean looking ballpark that's cool, and it looks like like you get there and it has all the bunting and it's everything. Like Surprise Stadium always looks very, very nice when I go there, and I like that. I like that celebration of baseball. Peoria is not even trying anymore. Peoria got out of bed. Their hair's still messy. They put on some house slippers and some sweatpants, and they had a spring training game. You know, that's what I feel like when I go to Peoria.
All right, that's fair. So Peoria's a C?
Yeah, I'm fine with it being a C. Yeah.
All right. Is that Tempe Diablo?
This is Tempe Diablo.
Next?
Oh, Tempe.
Tempe Diablo has a soft. I have a soft spot for Tempe Diablo.
I think we all do. If you grew up in the Valley going to baseball games,
the backdrop is pretty elite.
The backdrop
is pretty elite.
For me personally, though, when I was in high school playing baseball, watching my siblings play baseball, pretty much all of our home games were at the backfields of Tempe Diablo Stadium. So I was a spoiled brat. In that sense, growing up.
That's crazy.
Granted, no high school kid is ever going to hit the ball out of a backfield at Tempe Diablo Stadium, because straightaway center is like 425 feet. It was a little oversized for a high school game, but I've always thought the Tempe Diablo was a solid place to see the game. You've got the mountain kind of right there, kind of looking down on it. You've got the freeway in the background, which is a little bit of a vibe in and of itself. This feels like at least a B to me. I'll allow you to decide where exactly you want it to go.
B is exactly where I had it. So for all the reasons you listed, I mean, again, there's just a lot of history. I think we've all gone to a lot of baseball games there. Again, if you've grown up in the Valley, so B feels right for me.
Okay.
All right, we have Salt River Fields, automatic S tier.
Yeah,
there's no question about it.
It is elite.
It's elite. There's like the only complaint about Salt River Fields at times is a lack of food options, but they seem to rectify that really fast with their ability to have like vendors come in and just set up little tents on the concourse and such.
Sure.
And I think it's something that more of the ballpark should do. I'm not sure if they do. I know when I go to them, it feels like they're pretty limited for food just being such a big part of the baseball experience. And for those stadiums having spring training games for such a short, condensed period of time, I would think that they would take advantage as much as possible. Now, I do get it that they are trying to make you go buy their food, like at their vendors versus having the other options. I think that's why Salt River Fields kind of does a better job at times with that. But if you go on the wrong day, none of those vendors are there, and then it's just sad. But still, Salt River Fields is beautiful.
Yes.
It's right next to Jesse's house, so it automatically is an S tier. It is got amazing press box accommodations. And it's our home. Like, honestly, I think the biggest thing for me about Salt River Fields being an S tier is that we get to spend a lot of time like exploring it and traveling around and seeing all of the training facility that is there. And there's just a lot of cool things for athletes to go there and train, and a lot of different area. It's just big. There's a lot of areas for their different levels of players to all have their space and train at.
Yeah, it's delightful. If we had a tier higher than S, I would put it there.
Yeah.
I guess S is as high as we can go.
We don't even know about the lab. They won't even let us see the lab.
That's
right?
True.
There's the lab, and we can't see the lab, so that's a whole other level.
There's some equipment there that we're not allowed to see. But yeah, I've talked to some people in the industry about this, and there's no question. Like all of us reporters, broadcasters, like the people who work in the game, Salt River Fields is not only potentially far and away the best stadium in the Cactus League. Sloan Park is certainly in the conversation as well. But the best spring training stadium in the country. I don't think I haven't been to Florida. I haven't seen any of those parks, but from what I've heard, they don't really compare to Salt River Fields.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that there's a lot of things that they could have done differently that they didn't, like as far as making it even, more seating and all that stuff. Like I love the fact that we still have the grassy area for people to sit in.
Yeah,
I love the fact
totally.
that it has like all of those little aspects that you love about going to a spring training game in one of the most modern facilities. It's just a great place to watch a baseball game.
Salt River Fields might be like the Diamondbacks having Salt River Fields. Like, I don't know if there's anything that the Diamondbacks have that other teams don't that is better than Salt River Fields. Like, it is. I mean, I guess the Rockies have it too, but it is fantastic.
It's the advantage, like they've talked about with Jock Peterson building a home here and everybody wanting to live here. There's that advantage of you get to live here year round. You don't have to go somewhere else for 2 months for your spring training and for all of that kind of stuff. And like, that's very just true. A great advantage to not only have such a superior facility to train at, but also to have it be right here where you live, that you don't have to travel to go to it. Should we just do Sloan Park as an S tier now while we're talking about it?
Yeah, I think that's fair because that's the only other one that really compares.
It really is. I mean,
you think Sloan is S? You're not putting Sloan like a step below in the A category?
Well, I mean, I would love to make all of the spring training ballparks lesser than Salt River Fields because I feel like they are. But in honesty, I hate you know what I hate about Sloan Park? We just talked about, since you're talking about like your little press gripes, how far we have to walk from the press box to get to like the clubhouse for the interview, and where that walk is, and how lost I get every single time. But that's just because sometimes I'm like Mr. Magoo. I will say Sloan Park, though, what's beautiful about Sloan Park is how much of the Chicago Cubs, Wrigley Field it tries to bring here, and the Chicago Cubs vibe it brings here. Like, I think Surprise does that a bit with obviously with the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, they're trying to make it look like little baby Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
Because they know there's so many Midwesterners,
I went out there one time to just pick somebody up, and when I was out there, I saw people like it was the spring training games weren't even happening, and people were just out there taking pictures with like the sign and stuff. And I think their team shop is open year round out there. They are playing to their fan base that lives here in Arizona, and it is a big fan base. People from Chicago come here like everybody else from like the Northeast goes to Florida. Like this is where they come to vacation. This is where they come to retire. People from Chicago love coming to Arizona, and we love having them. People from Chicago are awesome. I went to Chicago for my first time, and I couldn't believe how much I vibed with the people out there. It's mostly because I like talking to strangers, and so do they. But that's a whole other thing. I just think that it was a very smart move. You lean into that. It's the same reason why when you look around at a lot of the eateries that have come here to Arizona in the last 5 years, you got Lou Malnati's, you got Portillo's, you got all these places.
They're trying to make all the Chicago people feel welcome and comfortable.
Well, I mean, they're tired of hearing them go, man, back in Chicago, we got this Italian beef place, right?
They're like, we just don't want to hear it anymore.
We'll bring it to you, like that's what they did. But they did that with this stadium, and I think it's successful. Whenever you go out to Sloan Park for a baseball game, it is packed. Like I rarely see other stadiums. I think Scottsdale is probably the only other stadium I see as actively packed with that team's fans as Sloan Park. Those two stadiums for the Cubs and for the Giants, they just have a tremendous following at those ballparks, and that really makes them kind of a unique experience to visit.
The chat disagrees with you guys. The chat thinks it should be a step below. The chat says
I would like to propose that halfway between A and S is the letter J, according to my calculations. So maybe we add a J tier,
an S
Sloan Park there,
S junior tier.
Exactly. S junior. Yeah,
why not a W tier? Because don't they fly the W when they take a win?
No. I'm not doing that. I'm not going that far. But
not pandering.
What else do we got? For now, we can just leave it. Do you want to move it down to A? We'll let the chat have their say here. We can put it down to A.
Put it down to A.
Let's bust it down to A.
We'll cater to them.
Okay, let's do it. Let's bust it down to A. Sorry, Cubs fans. Suck it. All right, and then we got Scottsdale.
You and I might fight. You and I might fight.
Hell tier.
You're putting Scottsdale in hell tier. What is your problem?
No,
Derek?
actually, again, if we're going based on press box experiences, I have.
It is pretty bad.
I have a terrible press box experience most of the time, but then they feed me free food. They used to feed us Don Charlie's when that was open.
Yeah, they do have snacks.
Makes you forget all about all of the other stuff. Yeah, they have this whole snack area.
Yeah.
Diamondbacks, what are we doing? They just have like trail mix and little bags of Ritz Bits and
such.
But
it's because there's such a small amount of space in the Scottsdale Stadium press box.
They have to make up for it.
People are going to be like standing around. So they're like, all right, at least we'll give you food.
You need nourishment in order to stand for 9 innings, basically, is what they're telling the people in the press box. I honestly don't have a lot of problems with Scottsdale Stadium from a viewing standpoint. Like I think to go there as a fan, it's kind of a fun ballpark, but I agree with Danielle where it's like to work it's a miserable experience. It's very old. It's very antiquated. There's a lot of bugs.
I've never worked it.
I don't get the bugs. There's so many bugs there. And like, there's just a lot of things like getting down to the field is complicated and weird. Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of things there that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But
from a location standpoint, I think it's so central to everything. I mean, Old Town is accessible.
That's fun.
I've only ever been to a game on the party decks, and like those are like to watch a baseball game.
The party decks are atrocious. They are.
I liked it.
They are hideous. I'm not saying that they're not a fun time. They're fucking hideous. I can't stand looking at them when we're in the press box.
Well, get off your high horse, old man.
It reminds me. Okay, so like it's funny because it does bring a true Southern California experience over. If you've ever been to like neighborhoods especially around beach areas, they can't build new houses. Like you can't like sell your house and go buy another big house because they're so expensive and so hard to find that you won't. So people just build these atrocious add-ons to their house to make them taller and bigger. And you see them all over this place. And some of them look rickety as hell. Like there was no contractor involved or permits. But yeah, that's what the party decks remind me.
I've always had a great time.
So where are we putting at? If you won't let me,
I
put it in the
I would
It's
put
really
it in
close to
A.
my house, Derek.
I
It's
would put
really
it in
close to
A.
my house.
But I don't think people agree with me.
No, because you're wrong and you're an idiot. So
It's in a like the location of my house aside. It's in like a cool area.
it's in a great
it's
area
the
to like go have some drinks and then go see a ball
it's
game.
the only stadium that's in like it's like at least semi-walkable, right? Like there's stuff around it. It's in like downtown Scottsdale.
Lots of parking in
basically.
Old Town.
Old Town Scottsdale, really. So I think it's cool. It's cool to have a stadium kind of right in the city like that.
Okay, so
nothing else is like it in that sense. Some of the scoreboards there, I'm not super impressed with. I get kind of I get kind of like an old school vibe when I'm there. Like, man, I feel like this place needs to be modernized a little bit.
it's the opposite of what they did with Surprise Stadium, where they made renovations that made it look more modern and such. Like I said, I really don't. I get the party deck area and the stuff they did. I just don't like it. And it's not the kind of renovations that they should have focused on.
So maybe it's a C.
Let's go. See,
I'd give you B.
you're
But
giving us
I don't.
B?
I don't matter. But like the logo is elite. First and foremost,
It's
Yeah,
just
it is the best
cactus.
logo of all
care.
of these.
We don't care about the logo.
It's
Jake.
fine. We can't see it. It's so small. Look at how small it looks on screen.
But from
Nobody
a
can see
perspective
anything.
of the games that I've attended, I don't think it's any worse than Tempe Diablo. Like,
All right, fine. Let's
You
put
want
it
it
at a
in-
B.
you want it in B?
That's the
at
highest.
the end of the
I will
day,
allow it
I
to
don't
go.
matter. You guys
That
matter.
is the highest
So-
I will allow it to go. I've had pleasant experiences there, but once again, it's because they bribed me with food. And when you bribe me with food, I will bump you up on the tier maker list. It's just a fact.
The stadium, last thing I'll say on Scottsdale Stadium, it does have there's like a sense of intimacy there that maybe other ballparks don't have.
And
Kind of feels like a toy ballpark. A little bit.
There's not that many seats. You feel like you're you feel like you're really close to the action, really, no matter where you sit.
And I have to factor in the Giants like fan base and like how electric it is to be there for a Giants game. Like people really do come out. And I mean, I felt a couple of times like that was something unique. You just don't get that kind of presence. You know, other spring training games, whether it's on the weekend or whatever, you have kind of fans there, you know, and they're just whatever. They're like hanging out, drinking with their friends. The Giants fans were locked in. They were all there. They were in their gear and they were, you know, ready to watch, you know, or you know, like root on for every play. So like that part of it, I guess that fan aspect was.
But you know why they do the party decks? I mean, the whole stadium is basically, it's done by the Thunderbirds, who are the people that do the waste management. I mean, they have a huge hand in all of that.
Okay.
So like, they're like party.
We can
Party.
bring this, yeah, we'll bring this to a baseball stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get it. Have bands play between the 6th and the 7th inning.
Okay, but talk about that night at Chase Field. Like anytime they do the giant band in right field and at Chase Field, elite.
Yeah, that
So
just
like,
needs to be.
I
all
think
season
that
long.
atmosphere needs to be in baseball 24/7.
No, I'm with you. All right, we got Hohokam and we have Maryvale.
Hohokam, I've spent very little time there. I didn't cover a game there last year. I think I went once when I was younger to see practice on the backfields. So I'm gonna let you voice your opinion on Hohokam. I don't have a strong opinion here.
It's another charming Arizona ballpark. Like it very much reminds me when I go to Hohokam of going to spring training games when I was a kid. That was the only baseball I got in my life when I was a kid, aside from my one terrible trip to Dodger Stadium. But they definitely have not renovated it as much as they should have. I think that's one knock to it. And again, these ballparks, they're rocking during spring. So there's no reason to not, you know, try to continue to modernize these ballparks. And I mean, hell, man, make them, if you continue to do renovations, they become, you know, something that you can use for things other than just spring training games. And that's, I think, a big important part of this. But I do have a special place in my heart for Hohokam. I want to say C tier.
Yeah, I think C.
I mean,
I think I'm on board with
it
that.
deserves better than
Cool
that.
logo.
Great logo. Absolutely.
Cool logo.
Absolutely fire logo. All right. Last is American Family Fields of, what does that say in the bottom?
Of Phoenix.
Of Phoenix.
But it's not in Phoenix. It's Maryvale.
This is the people who are in charge of this ballpark, whomever it is, trying to not brand the stadium off of the not great part of town that it is in, which is Maryvale. That has always been, in my mind, the primary knock on this ballpark. Is it is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But outside the stadium, the surrounding area is not a good part of town, and it's always been literally just called Maryvale, Maryvale Park, I guess it was.
It's just Maryvale.
Yeah,
you gotta go out to Maryvale.
Yeah, and that's not, you don't want to brand yourself that way. So now it's American Family Fields of Phoenix, which is very catchy, and everyone loves the new name, I'm sure. But I don't know. This feels like it should belong somewhere in the middle. The neighborhood, the area, the drive for me is a, those are all negatives, but somewhere in the middle, C, maybe B, I could see this. What do you think?
I think C is a fairly accurate. There's just not a lot there, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's also the Brewers, and if you're a Diamondbacks fan, it's just hard to like anything Brewers related, right? I mean, it's the reason why the Camelback is in the hell tier. We know it. We know it. That's the real reason why it's there. I think we nailed this. So, of course, you guys let us know how much you disagree with us.
I'm sure people on social media will think we nailed this too.
I'm sure they're going to completely be furious with us. But
so, in summary, for people on audio, we've got Salt River Fields in S tier. We've got Sloan Park and Goodyear Ballpark in A. Surprise Stadium, Tempe Diablo. Scottsdale Stadium in B. Peoria, Ho-Com, American Family Fields in C. And then we have Camelback Ranch.
All by itself. Down in hell. Suck it, Camelback Ranch. That's how we feel. Get some shade. Yeah, get some shade. All right, well, not meaning to throw shade, but now that Damon isn't here, maybe we can plan our boys' trip without him to Gila River Casinos, right? Sorry, Damon, you didn't include me, and since you're in Las Vegas having a good time, I'm going to take Faj, and I'm going to take Jesse, and we're going to go have a good time at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Nobody does it better than Gila River. They offer an authentic and immersive experience. Forget having to travel all the way to Las Vegas to get in on all that action. That city is a goddamn mess right now. You don't want to be a part of all of that Super Bowl action. You know that they have like 40 other conventions and things going on this week as well, so you're just not going to get anywhere, anytime. But what you can do is enjoy a wonderful weekend, a wonderful staycation with our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casino. Visit their state-of-the-art gaming floor. It has it all with over 800 slot machines, 15 blackjack tables, live gaming tables, and of course, Arizona's largest casino sportsbook. So head to Gila River Resorts and Casinos and let them show you what next level is all about. They will show you. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit play@gila.com for more details. Also, if you want to have some fun with the gambling, you want to get down on some sports, make sports even more fun, get down the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Of course, I discussed never ever trusting Aaron Gordon again. You probably shouldn't either. But
by Aaron, you meant Eric, is what we discovered the other day.
That's right. And never trust either one of those people. Never trust
anyone
Aaron
with
Gordon.
the last name Gordon is trouble. All right.
All right. Stay away from them. But what you can do, get down with same game parlay. Of course, with this Suns team being red hot, it's a great time to bet on that team. What you can also do is download the Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit betmgm.com and sign up using our bonus code of PHNX. Deposit at least $5 in your newly created account. Place a wager in that amount of at least $5 at a standard odds price or more. And once you do, you'll receive $158 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager, based on Super Bowl 58. Sign up for BetMGM right now and use that bonus code PHNX. Again, place your first bet sportsbook through the Sportsbook app right now for at least $5. You will receive $158 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Damon talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms. This promotional offer is not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
See, it's like I talk about Damon, and then there he is doing the disclaimer. Well, we appreciate you guys for being part of our PHNX diehard family. If you already are one, of course. If you are not, sign up today. What you can do is get down on our offer to get a free shirt from the PHNXlocker.com. What you will get is access to our Discord lounge, where we will be having our first edition of my game show, Squeeze Play, where I am your game show host, and Cogs is going to be one of your contestants if he shows up on time. We'll see. We also will have some of you guys. We need 2 more contestants, which I will be picking tomorrow. So make sure if you're a diehard, you are here on tomorrow's show because
picking them on the show.
I'm going to pick them on the show. I'm going to select them. You have to be here in the live chat to be part of our first edition of Squeeze Play. Why would you want to be on that show, you ask? Well, the winner will get a free t-shirt of your choosing from the PHNXlocker.com. So if that's not enticing enough, I don't know what is. Of course, if you're a diehard, make sure to either get down on being a contestant or make sure to watch it over on our Discord channel. It is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan, as well as you get Jesse's all Jesse's content. You get access to all of our writers' content. You get access to partners, deals with our partners, deals on our events, and so much more. So join us today over here at gophnx.com. Found a funny video of Alec Thomas on Instagram talking a little bit about his future rating, future stars rating on MLB The Show.
Yeah, this isn't. My understanding is this is not a recent video. This
is not.
This is like back a few years ago when I want to say when Alec was in the Futures game and MLB The Show had like a special card of him or whatever. And so they have all his ratings and he was reacting to his ratings. And it's kind of funny.
And it's delightful. This is what Alec had to say about his ratings back then.
What up, guys? All right, I'm not 175 pounds, 185. Born in Illinois, not born in Illinois, born in Tucson, Arizona. The power, you gotta give me a little bit more power, bro. Come on. Everything else is decent, but the arm's getting better. It doesn't even matter. We throw through the cutoff anyway. What else we got? Bunt? We don't bunt. There's no need. You can put that at a 0 if you want. Just kidding. Gotta have a little bunting skills. You know what I'm saying?
Somehow I missed that video when it, first happened.
He's not wrong about the cutoff, man. That's for sure. We hit the cutoff, man. Now the bunting thing, I might have to disagree with a little bit, but it is kind of hilarious to see him say that stuff on a team that has, benefited from like small ball stuff. Like Alec, you gotta get your stuff up there, right?
He wasn't necessarily like the foremost member of Bunt Club, but he was one of the members. We did see Alec bunt from
now. Alex does bunt. He does bunt now.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. He did have a rating of 94, which it's hard for. I feel like he shouldn't be too disappointed with that. That's pretty good. If Alec Thomas right now were like genuinely worthy of a 94 rating, I think Diamondbacks fans would be very, very happy with that. He's a little bit of a step below that right now, but he wasn't satisfied, and I mean no player is, right? I would be surprised, like no matter how high the ratings are, players are always going to be disappointed with something or other.
Christian Walker, I remember when they did the video revealing his numbers, I think last year for MLB The Show, he was pretty okay with it. Elise says we don't bunt. Tori saw that and said bet. Yeah. He's like, and I took exception to that, is what Tori said. Gabriel Ferreira says he's so cute. Yes, he's adorable. That's not wrong. You're not wrong about that. Connor Mormon, don't bunt, hit game-tying dingers in the LCS instead. That's also very cool. Maybe better than bunting, perhaps. Sure. Anyway, he's incredible. Great to see that video of Alec Thomas aging very well, and can't wait to see him next week at some point. They're already out there. The Diamondbacks are posting Instagram pictures of them already out there in training, and like when you see the shot that they post, it's not like one guy. There are a lot of players in the background that you see around there already here at Salt River Fields getting their training in. So that's very exciting to see. So
I couldn't help but notice that on those ratings, if I'm remembering correctly, his contact against lefties was actually pretty decent. So that would be a very positive development if future Alec Thomas was was in fact what that MLB The Show card said it would be.
It's no Baseball Savant page. We know that. But anyway.
I'm still waiting for MLB The Show to have full-on Baseball Savant pages. It'd be the greatest day of my life.
We would never be able to pry you away from a video game.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jesse would spend his entire life on a video game.
I would be
That'd be all I
obsessing
do.
over like the chase rate, the
down
whiff
there
rate of like
taking notes,
every player on my team.
seeing the improvement rates and such. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my God. We thank you guys, of course, for stopping by. Again, we will be back here tomorrow at 1 p.m., so make sure to join us then. In the meantime, you can catch us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. Jesse's at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, Father Overlord Jacob. He is at Jacob_Franklin 4 because he's the fourth best Jacob Franklin. There's a ranking system that we have not had enough input in, to be honest.
He's the fourth best of the ones who have the underscore.
Do we know who
I don't
1,
know.
2, and 3
I don't
are?
know his ranking among all of the Jacob.
No, I know one of them is some sort of astrophysicist or something. So
Yeah, that
you're
makes sense.
You're not surpassing that one, but anyway. We do appreciate you guys, though, for following all of us. Make sure to follow the show at PHNX_DBacks, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for stopping by. We appreciate your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you live in Arizona during spring training.
We all silly like the mayor.